That's crazy. Anyway, here, I got to pee again. Holy fuck, I drank way too much coffee.
And it is
way
as
too
a
quickly.
high.
Jesus
Biden's
Christ.
approval rating is not. How did Democrats defy those expectations?
I'd say there were three reasons that we defied all the expectations. First, we had great candidates. Our candidates cared about people, were effective, talked directly to everyday Americans' concerns, and they ran against a whole bunch of flawed candidates who were interested in sort of tossing firebombs across the wall, but not really getting things done for average families. The second reason we won was our record of accomplishment. We had accomplished so much for average folks. They never thought we would be able to take on pharma and get prescription drug prices lower. They never thought we could do anything on climate change. We did the most effective thing we've ever done on climate change. And on difficult issues, even like guns, gun safety, we came together with Republicans on a bipartisan compromise and moved the ball forward for the first time in 30 years. So Democrats got a lot done, and to average voters, they care about that. I mean, I know there's a lot of Sturm and Drang here, every day when this allegation is thrown or that one, but they cared. But third, and maybe most important, the American people saw that democracy was at risk. They saw that there were these MAGA Republicans who denied the election. That's one of the fundamentals of a democracy. When you lose an election, you don't say the election was a fraud and you call it off. Who either ignored violence or even encouraged it when the MAGA Republicans did it. You know, the Republican leadership is to blame here because they didn't push back. The average American saw this. They saw that, that autocracy was eroding the edge of our democracy. And we got votes from Republicans who said, this new MAGA Republican Party led by Trump is not I'm a Reagan Republican, I'm a Bush Republican, I'm not this type of Republican. And that made a huge difference as well. And if you look at finally at the closing arguments, say in Nevada, one of the two closing arguments for Catherine Cortez Masto.
Yeah, no, I love when the Democratic Party is running defense for the Republican Party for no fucking reason whatsoever. Like, if I had any charitability and any belief that like Chuck Schumer truly wanted to win, I would say that like they're doing this deliberately to just basically pinpoint with incredible accuracy the chink in the armor of the Republican Party right now to just like really get in there and just try to fucking make that fucking divide larger. But I don't think that they are doing that. I don't think that is the reason why they're doing that. I think that the reason why he's saying that is because, bro, don't time him out for 10 minutes. Ban him permanently. Oh my God. Wait, is this a 14-month subscriber who said there's no shot? They're so stupid. I mean, dude, Jesus Christ, brother. I don't know what to. Yo, people in this community, people in my community are so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. There's like a lot of you that are just straight up fucking brain broken, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh my God. Sure, just paint us all with that brush. I'm saying some of these motherfuckers are really, really dumb. Pays you, then says something stupid knowing you don't like reading stupid shit. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe not perma, but like fucking ban them for like a week at least.
Was this idea that her opponent was an election denier and was not rebutting all these assaults on democracy. The second, of course, was choice, which was an important issue, both in itself. I mean, American people do not want to see rights eroded. my children, my daughters, will have fewer rights than my wife or my mom
really
did
resonated
under
with
this.
female
But it
voters.
also showed how far right this Republican Party had moved, and the Republican leadership was letting it happen.
And we want to break down the GOP aspect of this with you, but you have a lot to do. I know you're going back to Washington after this
Right now,
interview.
getting in the car.
You have a lot on your agenda. Are you going to talk to Mitch McConnell? What does that look like?
Let me just say this. The American people are yearning for us to get things done. And the American people, first, they believe in democracy. I just want to finish that last point.
Is the
roots
audio
of
fixed?
democracy are much
Is the audio a little bit louder now? Sorry, I
deeper
don't know
than
why it was
a
low.
lot of warriors, people who worried about the election, give it credit for. And they understood democracy was being eroded. But they also are practical. They want us to get something done for them. They don't expect us to do everything at once, but they want us to get something done. And that's why I think so many of them chose Democrats over Republicans, because we were focusing on what they cared about and what they needed, as opposed to just sort of tossing these hand grenades across the wall. But I will say to my party, we're not going to get everything we want, like on the guns bill, we didn't get everything we want. But let's try to sit down with the Republicans and get something done. And even more, and just as importantly, I am going to say to the Republicans in the Senate, who are not the MAGA Republicans, stop letting them lead your party. Work with us to get things done. And I intend to sit down with Mitch McConnell and express that. And I think
you've been saying that. You've been asking for it. Go on.
Just quickly, when are you you're sitting down with Mitch McConnell this week?
No, I've said this yesterday and the day before too. I intend to sit down with him and say, how can we should be working together. You're not going to get the extremists in your party to work with anybody, but the rest of us can work together and get them some real things done for the American people. And in answer to your question, Don, we got plenty of the
Do you think it's going to work this time?
Well, in the last Senate, where we got so much credit in June, July, and August for getting so much done, and it helped change the election around, 5 of those 6 bills were bipartisan. The guns bill was bipartisan. The bill to help our veterans who were exposed to the toxic toxins that came out of the burn pits was bipartisan. The most major industrial policy bill ever, or in a very long time, the CHIPS and Science bill, was bipartisan. We did most of I tried to do things in a bipartisan way, and we've had some
Senator,
success.
I understand what you're saying.
Have to do more.
You have that.
Oh, man, thank God. Thank God, dude. Thank God that, he's out here trying to do bipartisan shit.
Lots of success, but I'm wondering what is different. Do you think there's going to be what is going to be?
The hilarious part about the bipartisan bills that he's referencing are that, for the most part, they never got voted through. Okay? Most of the legislative agenda of the Democratic Party, which was always, of course, surprise, surprise, a fucking watered down version of what they actually wanted to do. And what they actually wanted to do was already a watered down version of what was necessary, always passed through budget reconciliation. So the real issue here wasn't that the Republican Party was willing and able to compromise on shit, because they weren't, with the exception of the fucking burn pits. Okay. Because Republicans were so thoroughly embarrassed by people like fucking Jon Stewart going on television and being like, shame on you, while crying real fucking tears, to be like, pay for the fucking victims' compensation fund for people who got throat and lung cancer from sleeping next to a fucking burn pit. Okay? That's when they actually ended up, pushing for bipartisan bills like that. And even the CHIPS bill was a fluke, because Republicans thought Manchin would stop this year's reconciliation bill. But once Manchin got shut down, he agreed to reconciliation. Exactly. Remember when the CHIPS bill went through, right? The CHIPS bill. You guys remember the bipartisan CHIPS bill that we're talking about? Remember how mad that Republicans were with that, Joe Manchin turned on them? I remember. I talked about it regularly. Remember when the Republicans were like, how dare Joe Manchin fuck us like this, and push for the budget reconciliation and vote along party lines on the fucking budget reconciliation? How devastating that is. We're talking about shit that is across the board good for good policy, good politics. Okay. And Republicans would still turn around and go, oh, man, all right, we voted for that on the condition that Manchin would fucking rip apart the IRA, the second budget reconciliation proposal that Democrats had put together, which was, like I said, a watered-down version of what they claimed they were going to do, and what they claimed originally that they were going to do was also a watered-down version of what was necessary. The most indecent thing that Republicans do regularly, by the way, is they will always go back home after they're done, when the Senate when they're doing town halls and shit, and they'll claim that they voted for bills that they literally tried to veto. Wasn't it Chuck Grassley who said that? Like, when he went back to a town hall and was straight up like, yeah, I was in favor of lowering the insulin prices. It's like, bro, you voted against it. Like, even people in his own constituency, even people that are going to his fucking town halls, you can't prove that? What? Yeah, I can. It's on video. People that were at his fucking town hall were like, dog, that's not true. You literally voted against that. Why are you saying this? And those were like his fans. You know what I mean? If you're going to a fucking town hall, if you're going to the Chuck Grassley town hall, you're fucking ride or die. Okay? This is wild. And that's some real demon shit. Okay? That's some real fucking demon shit. Imagine doing everything you can to just like undermine an agenda that would be legitimately helpful to Americans, that is an absolute necessity at this point. Okay? And people still turn around and fucking, push it aside and try to stop it and then take credit for it. There is no unifying the country. The only unity you get is at the top of the hour, when there is an ad break. 60 seconds for now, but slated to increase. Okay? And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get one free Prime subscription a month. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. Alex Franco AV, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. Nancy's Thang in Thangs, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I don't even know what that means. I think I know what that means, but that sounds devastating. What the fuck kind of name is that? Nancy's Thang in Thangs. Okay, here's the 1 minute ad break now. I want to move away from that.
To be different this time with the MAGA Republicans, because you said that before. Please work with us. Why is it different this time? Why do you think they'll be more open?
It's different this time because they lost. They all expected to win. The red wave proved to be a red mirage. And one, if not the main reason, but one of the main reasons for sure, was that average American folks, even those in the middle, even those who tended to be Republican, said, I'm afraid of this MAGA. They're trying to ruin our democracy. It's not... If you look at the numbers, if you look at the results, House and Senate, the MAGA Republican way didn't work. The MAGA Republican candidates across the board, you just showed some of them, lost. Yeah. So if you're a good leader of a Republican Party, you say continuing to follow them is a path to disaster.
Just one more follow-up to that.
Sure.
Okay, so listen, the messaging. People were very critical of the messaging, as you saw in the media. And I talked to a couple of folks in the Democratic Party this weekend, and they said, one of them is his advisor to the president. He says, I was been telling the POTUS the entire time that the streets were not saying what the polls were saying and that young people were coming out. They're also telling me that rather than having these big events and people were saying, well, the president's not going here and they're not going there, that you actually had Democrats in the trenches, in areas, working with people, talking about the accomplishments, asking them what they were going to do, and that
It's a
The
great
pundits
point.
and the media did not understand the strategy.
Correct. If you would have looked at what actually was happening, as opposed to the day-to-day, oh, what's the latest, firebomb they're throwing over the wall, you would have seen just what you said, that we were talking to average people. You know what one of our most successful commercials and arguments was? Prescription drugs. We were getting the cost of prescription drugs lower. When you poll the American people over the last 5-10 years, what's one of the number 1 or 2 or 3 things they want? Get the cost of those drugs down. We did it. We did it in the IRA bill. When you talked about young people, I predicted the young people were going to vote for us. Why?
Yeah.
We focused.
By the way, speaking of the young people going out to vote, I just got to say something here. I know a lot of people in the chat were like super hopped up on like the early exit polls saying the young people won the election. Young people won the election. Turns out, no, they didn't. Okay. It still made up 12% of the entire voter population. And young people still were not able to, they were still not able to reach the numbers that they did in 2018. So they were just consistent. It was still high. It was historically high, but not even the highest. 2018 midterms had more young voter turnout. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that, like, without young people, Democrats would have won. Of course not. Young people vote aggressively Democrat. Please do not misunderstand me. Young people still fucking are voting overwhelmingly Democrat. But there's not a lot of young people out there that are voting in general, and we still need to find a mechanism to get more young people to go out and vote. You get it? Especially when we are talking about, especially when we're talking about, how difficult it is. How difficult it is to get young people to vote. Not even because like young people don't want to vote, but because it's just like hard. It's just structurally difficult for young people to vote. A lot of young people, as Osita and I talked about, go to college. Okay? So when you're going to college, you're in a totally different district. Where do you vote? Do you vote back home? Do you vote in the college district? Did you actually register for the college district that you wanted to go and vote at? That you might be at a totally different state. States also sometimes make it literally increasingly difficult to register with ease in whatever district you're at. Wasn't it like Maryland? Not even red states, man. No. Blue states do this shit too. I remember covering something during the Democratic primaries. I believe it was like Maryland or another fucking place like that where Democrats also, or New Hampshire maybe, I don't know, where they were just not letting young people in a different zip code go back and vote. Then also on top of that, you're talking about, it was New Hampshire in the primaries. Oh, okay. Also on top of that, we're talking about places where, if you are registered to vote, let's say you're a fucking college student. Okay? You're slamming beers, you're eating pizza, and then you remember you have to fucking vote the next morning, right? You got class, because voting is not on a national holiday, federal holiday, because that would allow more people to go out and vote same day, and we can't have that happen, right? So then you're like, all right, fuck. Well, I think, luckily I still have my registration. I'm going to go and try to vote. I'm in this district that I'm going to college in, which already is like not every college student, but then you have to sit there and wait for 3.5 fucking hours on the one polling station that's on campus. You have no public transit to leave college campuses and go to a different polling station to vote there. Sometimes you can't go and vote at a different polling station. You have your designated voting a place where you have to vote at. Every state has a complete different rule on this. Like it's literally not even state by state. It's by locality and district by district. So, like, it's not even that easy for young people to go out and vote. Sure, maybe some people don't want to fucking go out and vote, right? Maybe a lot of young people that you know in your immediate vicinity are like, yeah, man, fuck that. Why would I do that? Why would I go out and vote, right? But also on top of that, it's not like the system is making it easy.
On climate, which they
I work in a residence hall, and so many students did vote by mail. It's not difficult. Please stop saying voting is easy. You are literally denying reality. I vote. I have a regular address. Okay. I've been living in the same district for years now. Okay. I'm a registered voter in a blue state like California. And even then, voting is infinitely easier for me. And yet it's still kind of difficult. What is difficult about it? Well, there's like 56 fucking things that I need to vote on. I don't know what all the fucking judges' names are. I don't know what their background is. I don't know how many of them have, like, you know, punished homeless people for the crime of just existing when I'm voting on shit like that. It's not easy, even if you have all of the amenities. Even if it's like even if it's made as easy as possible, okay? There's still a lot of structural inefficiencies. And even when the structural inefficiencies are eliminated, like in California, for someone like myself, even then there's like, if you want to vote as a you know, smart voter, even if you are covering politics 24/7 like me, I still rely on a fucking voter guide. And it's my job. This is my job, and I still rely on a voter guide. That should tell you something, okay? Because, like, when you're in California, it's not even fucking blue versus red. Sure, at the state level, for things that are otherwise, you know, a lock, there's a blue-red distinction. But then there's Democrats going up against Democrats. There's progressives going up against progressives. Which progressive is better? Like, there's so many minute differences that make up have a major impact on people's lives on the ground. So I don't like this idea that, like, voting is actually super easy. Dummy, you should do it. It's easy. Yeah, it's not. It's not. And I recognize that, and I admit that. Even in a place like California where it is, it's still not that easy.
they really care about, and we got more done for climate than ever in history. And we talked about student debt. And, you know, again, a lot of the pundits said, the young people, when I would go to a group of young people, when I would go to a black church, the number one thing I'd be asked is, what about student debt? We did something about it.
Fair, but now a federal judge has said you overstepped constitutionally. Well, so let's see if it. No, but that matters for the millions that matters for the millions of people who bet on this administration, and the fact that you didn't do it legislatively, you did it through executive order.
Republican judge, and what we have done. Wait, let me just finish. In this Senate, is we passed a record amount of judges at the district court where this judge was, and
there has been a lot of movement on, and that's why.
In the court, and in the Court of Appeals to counterbalance these MAGA judges, which the public doesn't like. And now that we have the majority, we'll be able to keep doing it.